numbers with the text is all very small, so it would all fit on one worksheet. So we're talking support staff here for the next two items. And for support staff, we have budgeted, it's in the numbers right now, all of this is built into the budget as of this moment. So CPI increases are what's in blue for our staff members, okay? And any extra notes are also in blue based upon their position. The recommendation is that CPI increases are retroactive to July 1. Okay, so these staff members have worked all year round, so they worked in the summer as well. So that portion is retroactive. Then there are some that have additional compensation that we're recommending based upon looking at actually what's out there in the market. So I would call these market study and consolidation increases. So when I listened to Ryan talk about the overall budget, and he shared, look, we are actually down in revenues, but and down in expenses, and we still have all these different increases built into the budget. How did you do that? Well, we did that through consolidation, some more consolidation, some creativity. So what you see here in orange on this worksheet, most of these, the top three, are all a result of consolidating a position. That's what it comes down to. So we had $40,000 in savings by the consolidation of our B&G secretary / AD secretary and redistributing those duties to individual different staff members located at the high school. So we right now have some increases that reflect that then. The other differences I would say would be there's a administrative assistant, special education. In conversation now for 3 years, we have discussed the fact that that position is really, it's more like a district office level position and should be compensated in that way, as well as a market correction for the skill set that's required to do that. The only other one I guess I'd speak to would be is our maintenance position, and there's a disparity between the two positions. Now there is a longevity piece to that, but in the meantime, after looking at the market and looking at starting wages, we're probably starting someone around what that person's currently making, so we wanted to make sure that we recognized the performance and the commitment to the school district with the dollar increase versus the CPI. So what we're recommending is that there's an other that's in orange, where that's the increase that we're recommending based upon a study that I shared with the personnel committee, looking at the going rates for these different jobs. These are all fiscal year, meaning they work all year round, and that's really what the focus, it's a siloed conversation, just talking about all year round employees and what their wages are.
Any questions on this resolution? These proposals? Norm?
Aye.
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 Aye. Motion carried 502. Resolution 181978, approval of school year support staff wages. Motion?
I'll move.
Norm, seconded by
So moved. Or
Joe.
second.
Joe.
All right, there's definitely movement here. This is a full page of text here for many different staff members. Again, it has a CPI increase. The recommendation is that once again is retroactive to July 1. Keep in mind it's school year, so what I'm really talking about is probably that end of August and September 1 for the retroactive pay there, and then being effective October 1st for the rest of it. And some of that is just based upon the fact that we're doing some market correction again. So rather than going back in the past, we said, let's just stick with these bigger increases right now. It's the logic, I think, is pretty solid, and it's something that we can navigate financially for us. So we, the big look-see came at the special education aides on this page, and the kind of what is the bar for our new hires. So we decided that the starting wage needs to be $12.50. And people were all brought in at different entry points based upon our handbook. So the new starting wage we're recommending for special education aides is $12.50. But I guess I want to share with you that there's more to come, because in the discussion that I had with Liam multiple times, and now we had it with the administrative team today too, is our goal is that we bring our support staff together this year to talk about a compensation model. Right now, I would not call what we have a model. It just says, you're labor grade 6, and here's the range, and it doesn't talk about longevity incentives. It doesn't talk about any kind of job duty requirements. I would say that some of the, actually, based upon the labor grades, they do recognize what the job is all about, but within special education aid, there's actually some duties that we think deserve to receive some extra credit as far as compensation goes. So that would be working within like an emotional behavioral environment where students, they need to be put in a nonviolent crisis intervention hold. They actually are fighting, kicking, that kind of environment. We need to recognize that. That's definitely a tough environment for staff members to be in. So we do provide training, we do provide them the tools, we do provide everything we can, but in the meantime, we think like compensation-wise, we should start to delineate that and recognize that. Some of the other needs we're talking about are toileting, actually. Some of the staff members are supporting our students with those needs. Others, as far as medication goes, some are dealing with catheters and some higher level things that really are there. They require an extra level of training to go along with that. So we want to talk to the support staff and hear from them what they value, what they think needs to be recognized, and come back with a recommendation. So Lee and I already have some thoughts, but we want it to be kind of the voice of the people. They have spoken and we have listened. So it's a good faith effort. It's a market correction in general when it comes to these positions. And I feel good about what we're sharing with you today. So with knowing that there's some more work that's coming.
With the more work that's coming, is there going to be any changes to wages we think yet still this year with this?
Possibly.
So,
Yeah, possibly. So being cognizant of the budget, knowing I shared with you the condition of our fund balance, those conversations would make it to the personnel committee first, saying, okay, here's what we're looking at. I wouldn't recommend anything, again, that like be retroactive. I think as we
sure.
work on this new day, to be fair to us, the budget's built one way, and as we start to make some tweaks, I would recommend it would be effective that day moving ahead, just so you know. That we can work with a lot better than going back.
Any questions on this resolution? Norm?
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried 5-0-2. Resolution 181979, approval of professional staff stipends. Need a motion for approval? So moved. Eddie, second by Jim.
Ready? Ready for the roll? Okay. So we have one document that reflects all the stipends that we're recommending for the 2018-19 school year. Anything in yellow is new, everything else you've already approved, just so you're aware, okay? So what's important is to share the changes as the dust has settled after we've consolidated, and what's our new day? How are we navigating some of these changes? So to kind of keeping it simple, I'll go with the really straightforward ones. The column that says mentor stipend, we decided, we've tried it a couple different ways already since I've been here. We think the most streamlined way to go is just one mentor per building. They are expected to connect with their new hire weekly and then have monthly meetings with the building administrator, okay? So it's really navigating for that new hire. And it says in our handbook, our employee handbook, that we provide a mentor to new hires, by the way. So their job is just to help them navigate what it's like to come to a Mayville School District. How do you request a purchase order? How do you request a day off? what should subplans look like, you know, just the basic procedures of the school district, lay of the land, that kind of stuff. So it's a very modest stipend, but that's a very basic expectation that we have for them. Do you have any questions on that? Okay. All right, so next would be the certificate stipends. So that's the second column of stipends. You see one change in there, and that is $500 for one of our teachers that attained national board certification. So what's happened is we have it at COM now. We froze it, is what happened. But in it, we do recognize that level of certification, and there is an incentive from the state of Wisconsin. Is it like $2,500 that they get from the state for 5 years? Is what they receive. That is quite an accomplishment to do that. So we're very proud of her and her hard work that she did, and the district does recognize that with a certificate, a stipend of $500. And then, by the way, that does go, like the stipend itself, it's built for as long as they have that certification. They have to go and renew that again. So it's not a lifetime national board certification. It's not a lifetime license. So then the next column is master stipends. There were 3 teachers that this summer completed their masters. They also were the ones who were grandfathered in for the completion of reimbursing for credits. It's a very modest amount we reimburse for credits, but in the meantime, they've shifted to a lifetime license, and alternative ways for licensure credits aren't a part of it. So the credit piece is sunset, and then these individuals did complete their masters, so they've shifted to $1,000 stipend. Okay, next. Lee, I'm going to have you, if you could speak to the extended day stipend. I do have some supporting documents for all of these. There are separate documents that are uploaded. So I'm going to go to the EC to age 21 special education program support. It's a link in the agenda, and Lee can speak to that.
Sure. As I transitioned to the high school and still remained as director, as a possible great opportunity to be more efficient and save money in the long run, what we're doing is we're creating a position that will provide a staff member the stipend that's listed on the screen for extended days in service. So for this additional time outside the school day, to complete a lot of things that I was doing within my role as director last year. The description is there. The main things that we want this individual to be able to do right away are be able to understand flow through and special ed budget items, as well as purchase orders, things like that. We also have indicators that we report to the state on. She will now assume that role, working with Lisa Heim. Both these are with Lisa Heim. And then the big one is the opportunity to work with the people that we've hired to read IEPs, to be trained in the reading of IEP. It's one thing to write an IEP, but you also have to follow what the expectations are for when they are created. So those are the 3 biggies right now. But in addition, if you look at the bullets where they are, it's also to provide behavior support within the district, any guidance on the IEP, intervention plans, which are really pre-special ed as we call them, and then she'll also fill in as LEA when principals are short of time to be able at those meetings. So that's basically the discussion there. Where we are heading toward is a transition to a replacement of me next year within house, which will be a cost savings that we projected out. So we're real comfortable with starting at this stipend amount and the days that Scott has proposed. I will still have that director title. However, there's a lot of day-to-day and week-to-week things that this person will be supporting us with.
Okay, any questions on that one? Okay. All right, so now there's an actual kind of a little bit of a flow chart that I created to help speak to this one, and that was for a district curriculum committee. So prior to this, we have had absolutely people working on the curriculum, you know, that's a given. But in the meantime, it hasn't really been a level of accountability at a staff where there's somebody who's a go-to that we recognize to say, hey, we need your help. This is your job, this is your duty. And as we look at the work that we have right now, and one of our district top priorities for the school year is vertical alignment of our learning targets, and making sure that we have that dialed in so that we can start looking at our assessments and saying, here's what we say happens at every grade level, here's what our assessment says as far as data, what's happening here, there's a disconnect. So this is our year to have a big push to get this work complete. So it starts out, there's a new position that we're creating, and I already heard Lee mention Carrie did this and Carrie did that, tonight, which is absolutely true. Carrie's doing a great job in addition to her standard JOB, working with students as an interventionist and our reading specialist at the middle school. She's also taken on more duties as our Title I coordinator. That's for our grant dollars. So she's met with Ryan a few times and is reaching out to our private schools to make sure that we are supporting one of our private schools with our title funds. She is coordinating our ESSA budgets, that's our federal dollars, with Ryan and I. Lee's definitely behind the scenes right now, still chiming in, kind of wrapping up this time here and with this duty. And has written our district Title I plan. She's coordinating the paraprofessional training, but kind of come full circle. One of the things that really matters to us is we are investing in our paraprofessionals and their training more than we ever have before. So it's very important for us to recognize that financially and to make sure we keep them, because we're making these investments. So she's helping to coordinate that training. We also, as a school district, need to have somebody designated as the homeless liaison, so that's a position that she's going to help us out with. Title III is our ELL, our English Language Learner population. We do have some funds for that. She'll attend the network meetings and then help us monitor our gaps for our ELL student population. She has, we put in the job description here, working on WISE grants. That's our interface for all of our grant dollars. But I think, to me, one of the things that's super important is this is our year to complete and review the K-8 priority standards and target work that we've been working on now for about a year and a half. So we want to wrap this up and we want to get to a deeper level of implementation. The other thing is to be our district assessment coordinator. That's an official position for the school district. It's called the DAC, as well as the middle school assessment coordinator, if that's a SAC, so duty. So a lot is in that position. There's even more in here. We do plan on having this individual come to board meetings and share progress, and just to really make sure we're transparent. Hey, this is the work that we're doing right now. These are the successes we have. This is where we have to do some more work. Here's where our gaps are. So that is a K-8 curriculum and assessment coordinator position that has been created. Now that position itself, the stipend I'm recommending is $3,000. When I did some of the math, to me, we have curriculum stipends that are part of our handbook. It says that we pay $21 an hour for a curriculum stipend. So if we look at our three other stipends that we have, there's an EC2 team leader for $1,500, a middle school grade 3-5 team leader for $1,500. And you have to keep in mind that EC2, that's the entire, all of Park Creek, this person is helping to coordinate with Becky. Then middle school, we have 3 to 4 teachers per grade level, so that's a decent sized group that we're trying to make sure we have their voice in. We're processing everything, and we've got everything wrapped up by the end of the school year. Then grades 6 to 8 is another group. Now at the high school level, those are more departmentalized. Lee definitely has a strong understanding of the high school curriculum, being our director of instruction, as well as being in that role for many years. So he's going to be in charge of that piece. And then tying in this alignment part of 6-12 would be Lee, making sure we're looking at our EPAS, which is our Explorer Plan ACT system that we have. And then Carrie is really with that K-8 curriculum lens, looking at the middle school, and we got the K-8, so kindergarten to 8th grade. But I looked at the dollar amount. $1,500 is approximately 6 hours a month if we just went up on the curriculum pay, which we could have easily have just done. That is completely within my jurisdiction to authorize. In the meantime, we wanted to go above and beyond saying, here's curriculum pay. We wanted to put them in an official duty, official responsibilities, versus just saying, yeah, whatever it takes, here's $21 an hour. So it's more formalized is what it comes down to. We have had curriculum pay in the past. We had some staff members do curriculum pay over the summer. But this is intentional to be a very transparent process. The staff know who's in charge of working on it, and they're a go-to person for that. Like right now, last week, we had a meeting on Wednesday, so every fourth Wednesday of the month, our staff meet every Wednesday now till 4:30. And the last Wednesday of the month is dedicated to vertical alignment. So we started the process by talking about the strengths in vertical alignment, our weaknesses, our opportunities, and our threats. So that document, we're gonna synthesize that. That is gonna be the resource that these individuals all work with to make sure if there are any weaknesses out there, we are gonna address that right away. If there are opportunities, those are areas easily that we can get some wins on, we're gonna get those addressed right out of the gate too. So I thought they had some really healthy conversations last week. Some of the resources that I already saw shared with me on Thursday afternoon looked amazing. Said I was almost giddy at just how people are owning where they're at. They really want to make progress. We want this to be our year, you know, so they're excited about it. And I think it's great to have some official people assigned this responsibility. They are also very passionate about curriculum, these individuals that are a part of this. So as far as the grade level team leaders, their goal, it's way more pared down. So Carrie's, a lot of grant stuff and stuff associated with that, title dollars associated with that, being a liaison, more of a leadership role for that coordinator piece. But then when we get to these grade level, it's a grade level focus. So their priorities are on literacy and numeracy. They absolutely still science, those studies, and those other cores, they still matter. But our primary focus is on literacy and numeracy, wrapping up the target work. And then from there, they can help to put in our curriculum resources. And we talk, say, is this working? Are we putting the accent on the right level? What's our return on investment for the work that we're doing today? So you will absolutely see us looking at our math data this school year, coming up with recommendations for, I would almost use the word reform. We've got some work that we need to do. And this group will be helping us, work with the administrators to come up with recommendations for K-8 modification. So the next level, once we have everything vertically aligned, everything's in place, they'll work with the teams to come up with common grade level assessments. Right now, we do use a resource called iReady as a progress monitor. We give that to our students 3 times. It's a universal screener resource, so we give it at the beginning of the school year, middle of the school year, and end. In the meantime, that's still too late. So there's some basic common assessments that Dave and I were teaching together. We could create that, distribute it to the kids, come back the next day and say, well, my kid's got 75%, your kid's got 90. Hey, what happened over there? Awesome, talk to me about that. So what we really want is to help our teachers, because they're in the trenches doing the work every single day. We want to have these individuals help to coordinate some of those common assessments so we can really move. So what we've noticed is if you talk about like what is a weakness, time. Time's probably the biggest challenge. A lot of smart people, a lot of passionate people want to do right by everybody, period. And it's time is the biggest challenge. And getting a sub and saying, hey, we'll cover a sub for you, that is not necessarily the best idea. Because when you do that, yeah, thank you for your contribution. Dave and I, we had a sub, we worked on our common assessment. In the meantime, who was teaching the kids that day? And were they me? No, the best person I think to teach those kids that day is the teacher. So some of this is trying to put less weight on the classroom teacher and provide support to them, and then accountability to make sure that this work gets done. So I think in the big picture, looking at what it would be to give a curriculum pay, 6 hours a month to somebody to do this heavy duty work, I think it's very modest. I think we'll be in a great position at the end of the school year. Carrie will be bringing this coming to us, and I'd probably say every 2-month basis, giving updates to let you know how the work is progressing this school year. But I think this is a structure that I hope is successful and sticks around, not just for the school year. So we're going to give this a shot, see how it works, and we'll measure our effectiveness at the end of the school year. Any questions on that? And it's definitely a new day for us.
Any questions on this resolution for approval of professional staff stipends? Dave?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Motion carried 502. Resolution 1819